I'm going to do my devotion today on the parable of the talents. Everybody knows that story? Everybody? Everybody? All right. One guy had 5. They gave one guy 5. They gave another guy 2. They gave another guy 1. And they were supposed to multiply those and do that. So anyway, the story of the talents, there's a lot of different things we can draw from that. We did our small group Bible study on this the other day, and just it's good to get different people's perspective. One, R.C. Sproul says it's all about money. There's no spiritual thing involved in this. It's all about money. So you guys are R.C. Sproul. God rest his soul. Anyway, that's his stuff. I read another thing. It said the reason the master gave it to his servants was that in those days, if you gain something, that means you have taken something away from somebody else. So he gave it to his servants so he wouldn't be looked down upon as gaining from other people. I never heard that twist before, but they said that is biblically correct with the times. I'm like, I don't know about that. So anyway, there's a lot of information you can get out there. Some of it good, Bob. Some of it bad. There's 5 things you can draw from it. The first one is success is a product of our work. Some people think once you get saved, you're pretty much done, and it's like a bus ticket to heaven. It's already paid, and you just kind of hang out at the bus station. It's kind of like Florida, God's waiting room. Figure it out. They all come here and they just hang out. This big clock's ticking. It's like, I'm going to make it difficult for you guys to get around until I die. I'm not being mean, but there is a lot of old people in Florida. And I'm getting there. But if you drive from up north, and we came back after Christmas one year, and it was like the migrations of the snowbirds. It was like, all right, see that car with the rack across the back window and the Minnesota plates or the Ontario plates? You can just about figure they're all in the right-hand lane or in the left-hand lane around 55, which is common. So anyway, that's we don't have a bus ticket to heaven. God expects us to do something while we're here. And I talked to Kathy one day, and she said something that just is like, that's it. We need to understand the joy of work. And I think some young people have a problem with that, and some old people have a problem with that. They don't understand the joy you get from working for the Lord. It's I don't know how to explain it, but it's you just got to get it. You got to want it. You got to understand your place in God's plan. The second thing is God always gives us everything we need to do what we're called to do. And you always say, oh well, we have a thing on our wall. He won't send you where he hasn't prepared a way, or he equips the saints, or we always say he doesn't call the qualified, he equips the called. Is that right? Is that how it is? Yeah, I think that's the way it is. Ephesians 2:10 says, we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good work in which God prepared in advance for us to do. So people say, you're working your way to heaven. No, I'm not working my way to heaven. I'm already going to heaven. I'm just working for the Lord. That part's done. If you don't understand that part, we'll have to talk about that. But anyway, that's pretty much a done deal. So the third thing is it teaches us we're not created equal, and we're not the same place in our spiritual maturity. What if we were all created equal? What if every one of us was a director of team missions? Of course, every one of us thinks we can do it. Did I get an amen? Everyone thinks we have the idea, but God has called us at different levels. And believe it or not, and that's what it talks about the talents. He gave 5, he gave 2, and he gave 1. You think he gave the 5 to the guy because he had the ability to do what the 1 did? You think David went to fight Goliath on his first day? No. What's the Bible say? God worked with David when he was a shepherd. He fought lions. He fought bears. He worked on him. Okay? Sometimes we're not the called person. Sometimes we're not there maturity-wise as well. When I first became a Christian, my church said, we're gonna make you a youth leader. I said, no, you're not. I said, I got youth there that know more about the Bible than I do. I'm green as grass. That's exactly what I told them. I said, you give me a few years, maybe I can get there, but I ain't there. So think about that. Whenever they always want to put a new Christian person into a position, they're the least qualified. And the other thing is, like youth leaders, they always want to put the youngest person in as youth leaders. You know who needs to be the youth leaders? Some guy that's been married, had kids, understands, had life experience, knows those things. He can answer those questions. A kid, a young kid just graduated seminary or graduated high school, they want to put him in there to help the youth. Well, he's probably the least qualified person to do the job. He has a better understanding. He can, what's up, bro? He can do all that. I mean, he can be their best friend, but they don't need a best friend. They need somebody to give them spiritual guidance. So we're all on a different path. Think about that. The other thing is, we work for the master, not our own selves. And if you understand the 5 talents, 5, 2, and 1, well, the guy with 5, apparently he had more ability, and he increased it to 5. The one that had 2 increased it to 2. And the one that had 1, what did he do with it? He didn't do anything with it. And that's the difference between stewardship and ownership. See, he took ownership of what he had. He didn't understand it was stewardship. That's why we need to understand about God's time and talents. I almost made it. But we all have certain things God gives us, and we need to work to our ability, and we need to understand exactly where we're at. We all can't be a Bob Bland, we all can't be Billy Graham, but we all can be the best that where God has put us. Okay? If God gives us 10 unruly kids, that's what God gave you. And let me go back up here. God always gives us everything we need to do what God called us to do. Bob always says, that you always have that one kid, and if you send him home, you get another kid rise up. Well, I told him last year, that bad kid, apparently he didn't raise his money, because I didn't have a bad kid on my team last year. So, just think about that. This year. I'll get him and his brother. Some unfaithful seed helped him raise the money. But we just need to understand it's stewardship, not ownership. And I think, and that's how we get about our departments, about the people that work with us, about all the things we do. We always think we own it. Well, we don't. We're just part of the puzzle. It's stewardship. And everything I'm telling you, I'm telling myself. So I just want to let you know that when God gives you something, it's usually for you, not for the other people. So the other thing is, it says the 5th thing, it says we'll be held accountable for our actions, and that's what happened to the servant that had 1. He was accountable for his actions because he wasn't obedient. And when I say our actions, it's our opportunities. God gives us so many opportunities in our lives that whether we advance or whether we don't advance with those opportunities. And I think that's why the guy was at the 5 talent level and the guy was at the 2 talent level. I think they had opportunities earlier in their life, or their abilities were a little bit better. But if they had opportunities, they moved forward with those opportunities. They achieved those, and they get more confidence in the Lord. That's the way God worked in my life. I went through a period where I had headaches for like 2.5 years, and it was a tough time for me. But it was a time that God matured me, and then when God spoke to me and me and Vicky and called us to missions, it was an easy call at that point. But beforehand, I could never make that jump. But God helped us. The other thing I want to say, and I had this written up the top, but I forgot to say it. But one thing is, I've gone through back pain for several years, and I didn't realize how bad I felt until I felt good. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you don't know how bad. You don't know how good is until you know evil, and that's what God has. God deals with that. We have evil, so we know what good is. But I never knew how bad I felt until I felt good. I'm like, man, pain really controls your life, and you don't realize it at the time. But as you go, it's like, man, I was pretty grouchy. I'm still grouchy. Don't think y'all get a free pass now. Less grouchy, but I just wanted to say that before I finish. But anyway, just remember that success is a product of our hard work, of our work. We don't get a free ticket to heaven. God always gives us everything we need to do the job. We're not created equal. We all have certain levels and certain places where God has placed us. We have stewardship, not ownership, and we need to take advantage of the opportunities that God gives us. That's all I have.